Get to know the babes behind the brand as they talk business, women supporting women, and share what it's really like to work in the fashion industry.
Welcome back.
Hi.
Hi. Got Kate and Leah here.
Yep. Back on the old podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are.
Back at it. It's been so long.
It has been a long time.
Yeah, that 20 minutes in between was super long stretch.
I wonder if people can tell sometimes when we like do them together.
I wonder if we took pictures at everyone, they would for sure tell.
Yeah.
But luckily we're a clothing store, so we could switch it up and they would never know.
Yeah, totally.
Unless they're like really in tune
I
with
did an
our
outfit
hair.
change in between. All the new Levi's stuff came in and I threw on a new hoodie because that was kind of cold.
Okay,
and it's
first of
so
all,
cute.
dying over the Levi's.
Oh, it's so cute and it's like just like throwback. Like Levi's is back again.
Katie and I were talking about that this morning. What happened? How on earth did they make this insane comeback? Like, we can't keep it in stock.
It's so good. And like I'm wearing Levi's jeans and like
It's so good.
well, I haven't moved all my clothes, so I'm like have the same outfits on repeat, and I'm just if it wasn't raining, I'd go back and forth and get my other stuff, but you know.
Well,
anyways,
just stock up on a new
There's a
wardrobe.
store here. I'm taking stuff home today.
Okay.
Should we introduce our guest?
I would love to. I'm super excited. So from doctor to vegan to juiceologist, this boss babe truly backs up her delicious blends with real results. Whether it's shots, nut milk, or juices, her purely organic products are nothing short of pure potent nutrition. We are so excited to welcome Melissa from LiteBOD Juice.
Hi, thank
We're
you for
so
having
excited
me.
to do shots with her. We're going to do
Yes.
shots on this podcast.
These are shots that fit in with my cleanse.
Amazing.
I'm
There
so
are little
excited.
ginger shots. So
Oh,
yeah.
obsessed with ginger.
So whenever you
Oh,
guys
we
are
all
ready,
need
This is
it.
amazing.
we will do them.
I'll do it right now because this podcast will probably be 200% better once I
I think so. Let's do
once
them
I
right
shoot
now.
it back.
Okay, here we go. We'll pass them.
Thank you. So what's in this one?
Tell us about everything about this deliciousness.
So what's in them? So there's maple water. Have you ever had maple water before?
No.
It's an electrolyte. It's amazing, but it's on the sweeter side. So if you don't like coconut water,
Yeah.
this is a beautiful alternative. And it's got all
Okay.
sorts of vitamins. It's got all sorts of minerals. It's phenomenal.
Where can you get maple water?
Yeah, I've never heard of that before.
Never.
Yeah, it's relatively new in the West Coast here, but it comes. This stuff in particular, this comes out of Montreal, and it's organic and it's beautiful. So there's maple water in it, a high potency of ginger, turmeric. What else do we have in
Well,
here?
that's tangy. It stings the throat a little.
We've got
I
lemon
love that.
and pepper.
This is totally up my alley. I love ginger. It feels like as soon as you drink it, you are healthier.
So do you sell these as shots or they're actually like full drinks?
No, we sell these in 2-ounce portions. So what it's going to do is just temporarily increase your core body temperature by 1 to 2 degrees. In doing that, yeah, so it's really important for that because here's what's going to happen. It's going to activate the immune system. So for every 1 degree that your body temperature rises in temperature, your immune system doubles in efficiency. So when you've got 104 degree temperature, it means that your body has turned the furnace on and it's really trying to combat something. And also bacteria and viruses die at a higher temperature. So you want to have that fever come on and then go off. So on the first few signs of a cold, you're going to do this. You're actually going to take our 0-1 immunity drink and then have a good night's sleep, follow it up on an empty stomach the next morning with 0-5 repair.
What if I crank the heat in
And-
my house? Will that do the same thing?
Not the same thing.
Not quite the same. You
Not the
don't get
same
the
effect.
burn. This is so good. Whoa, and
Nice.
amazing. The science behind it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear your
incredible.
story because
too.
this
This is
podcast is
amazing.
really about your story and who you are because there's such a science behind what you're going to talk about.
Well, this is so good.
But yeah, I feel like I'm
How
about to-
often should you have these?
Ideally once a day. So we've got a lot of people who have come into the store who are really heavy coffee addicts, and what they've done is they've replaced this instead of their coffee. And what they find is that they have a real boost in energy because it doesn't just activate the immune system, it activates all different parts of the body. And so in doing that, they've got a surge of energy. So especially in the afternoon when you're having that lull and you really are
3
craving.
o'clock lull.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it's perfect for that. So yeah, so
Oh, I really
ideally
like
once a day, and we sell them in groups of 5, or you can get them solo, but you get a discount when you do it in 5s, and so people will just come pick it up from Monday through Friday, and then they're good to go.
Awesome.
I will for sure be
Well,
ordering some
thank
for
you
Dan
for
and I.
that.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
so good.
Good, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Should we go through our just blast through these Q&As?
Yeah, let's do our boss or bust.
Donni?
All right. I am so excited because our Piper West spring just landed, and we have these, which we've been working on for a long time, the floral faces, which are so springy and pretty and feminine.
They're
and
beautiful.
I can't wait. Like, we're doing imagery and video for them today, and I just can't wait for them to launch.
I think they're really special because it's different than anything we've ever done, but they're just they're the perfect floral. They're not too bold, not too faded. I think they're so perfect.
I'm pretty excited about them.
I'm super
so
excited.
I hope everyone
That's
likes
a
them as
boss.
much as I do. That's my boss.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, me. Oh, I was going to go at the end. My bust is I didn't even come up with a boss or bust.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
It is not a Leah moment.
It's okay. It's hard when we like do podcasts back to back to get answers to everything.
I could actually come up with the fact that my boss is I've been like nailing our food lately because we're cleansing. We're doing a 3-week cleanse. And I've been really like, I have not been hungry.
Are you feeling it, or you guys are like still enjoying all the recipes that you're making?
You've heard my recipes.
You have the best lunches.
You're like freaking Martha freaking Stewart next to me.
I have a vegan korma today with brown rice. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No.
So
Amazing.
I will take that as a boss. I've been bossing the food on this 3-week cleanse, and I feel amazing.
I don't want to be negative, but like, what are you missing the most?
I honestly, long pause.
Coffee or
don't.
wine?
Well, I've kept coffee in,
Okay.
but 1 cup or like 1 espresso a day, which I didn't do much more than that before. And I don't really crave it, so I don't even do it every day. But I'm not craving wine. I'm not craving sugar. I'm not craving anything. I actually feel just really great.
That's amazing.
And I've been making desserts. Like, I make banana ice cream, so I don't miss ice cream or
It
sweets.
just forces you to really like cook new things and try new recipes, and
Yeah.
it's good. It's because it's like, what else would force you?
Yeah. I feel great. I don't miss anything, if I'm being honest.
What about you, Katelyn? What's your boss or bust?
I'm ignoring the fact that I'm on crutches and taking a boss because I've been juicing celery for like 2 months now.
Good for
And I
you.
started juicing organic celery after I met Melissa, and
Good.
she told me I'm probably not juicing proper celery because I'm getting all of the chemicals.
Okay, this is actually like, I was going to ask this question because I've been juicing celery for a week. But let you finish first, and then I'll ask my question.
Well, when I met Melissa at LiteBOD, I told her I've been juicing celery, and she's like, well, is it organic? Because otherwise you're getting all those harmful things in your juice. And it's like, that is a great point. I've not paid attention to
And it's
that.
hard when you're like, for me, ordering my groceries, and I'm ordering like 10 bunches at a time. Well, it like adds up, the difference between like organic
live at
and
home,
non-organic.
so I take advantage of the fact that my parents grocery shop for me still. But I'm not going to put organic celery on my list because my mom's going to be like, no. What are you thinking?
So how many are you getting her to buy?
I've gotten the max she will buy is 5. And then at that point, she's like, no, I'm not. Go to the grocery store yourself.
That's funny.
Wow. See,
Well,
I don't
yeah,
even
it's a
know
start.
what is the price difference between the organic and the
To be
conventional?
honest, I'm
Like a
not
buck?
sure.
I don't know. It's funny
Is it that
because
much?
I sent Ev to the grocery. He always goes to Nature's Fair to like get juices every day, which I will send him to you from now on. And he's like, I'm like, oh, could you pick up some celery? We need like 8 stalks. And then he like came home. He's like, holy shit! Like, this is a lot of money that you're spending on celery.
celery, yeah.
Like, it adds up because I mean, Nature's Fair is always more expensive as well. But
Yeah,
I think it was like $5 a stock.
You should be ordering from Spud.
Yeah, I wonder what that is.
They deliver.
I feel like there's a buck difference.
Everything from Spud is their organic tends to be grocery store priced. Their organic is like the same as non-organic in the grocery store.
Because we shop at Thrifty's because it's by my house. My mom said it's like $1 difference.
it's
So when
so
she's buying that
expensive.
much celery,
Yeah.
It's just, and I only notice it when I'm buying like high quantities of something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because it adds up so quick.
But
You just really need to know where to shop and how. Like Palm over in Port Coquitlam
Yes.
has some of the best
Yeah.
prices on celery, has some of the best prices
Really?
on so many things. And then for carrots, you can actually get beautiful certified organic carrots at Costco. And you can get 10 pounds of them for about $8 or $9. So you just have to know where to
Whoa.
pick the stuff up, right? And I
Boom.
mean, for us, we're going through 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of produce every week. So I feel like we're not on the
crazy.
same scale, right? So we get our
Yes.
stuff at volume. Spud actually purchases from a lot of the same people that we go to.
Oh, they do. That makes me
yeah.
so happy because I'm obsessed with Spud right now.
It's nice. And so, so you really have to just know where to shop and do a little bit of hunting around at first, because these places, they maintain their price point. So PUM will always be great for celery. And Whole Foods actually is surprisingly amazing for their price point on organics as well. So, if you just know where to shop. But if you're buying on volume like that, if you're going to get
definitely. I was wondering, I'm like, I'm washing it anyways. Like, do I really need to I thought about it yesterday. I was like, does it really need to be organic? And then I was like, well, since I'm doing it for health benefits, I should. So I have been buying organic, but I could see myself cutting that corner.
So the question I would ask instead is, if it's conventional, do I really need to wash it? You're not going to wash anything off at that point. So here's the thing.
Inside.
Yeah, it's built in. So here's the deal with, did you want to go into this discussion about conventional and
Give
organic?
it to us.
Just do it now.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Because, okay, so it's a massive difference. So way back when, like when I was in my first year biology, that's when I really started to learn about how plants and animals are grown and harvested. And it blew my mind. I was so just blown away because when I learned about the difference between conventional and organics, it's vastly different. So just like in human beings, we need 74 different trace minerals to grow strong as one of the base requirements. Well, plants also need 52. Now, in conventionally grown, they're only given 3. NPK. Those are the base minimum requirements for something to grow. Now,
so there's nothing in them.
No, they're nutrient void completely. So now you've got a sick and weak plant. Nature doesn't like anything that's sick and weak at all. It picks it off. I mean, if you think about the baby antelope or the broken one, right? And the lion is going to go after that one. Yeah. So the insects do the same thing. They're going to go after the sick, weak plants. And so then what do they have to do to protect and preserve? They have to spray. And that spray gets into the soil. Not only that, sometimes it can get down into the groundwater. Like, it's just, this stuff is so toxic. So when you're picking up a bag of carrots, celery, whatever it is at the grocery store, it is not just one ingredient. It's not just celery. It is celery plus everything else that has been grown and built into it. So now when you're juicing that, you are unleashing it into bioavailable form. Your body is going to uptake it in approximately 4 minutes. It's going to hit the dentin in your teeth in about 6. And you've unleashed the glyphosate and everything else along with it. And not only that, because it's so nutrient deficient, it's not going to do any good for your body. So
I'm juicing and washing the juicer for nothing at that point.
So give up.
It's good practice. It's good practice. Switch over to organic and you'll notice a huge difference. And then switch to the right juicer as well. We'll talk about that.
Oh, no. I just bought one. Really?
It was a cheap one. It's okay. Oh, my goodness. My mind is blown. Okay.
Okay. That is like seriously such good advice, though, because I thought it was the spray. And so I'm like, okay, well, if you're really like, I always like soak my fruits and vegetables and make sure which I don't even need to do if it's organic, really, right?
If it's organic, still clean them, still wash off any dirt, any pests that might be on it, because you will find bugs from time to time on organics, right?
Of course, that makes sense.
But
But I'm like religious with like soaking them and scrubbing them, and like I'm like really like kind of a clean freak with stuff like that.
That's amazing, and I would definitely do that with organics.
Yeah.
If it's not certified organic, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's a waste of your time, as far as I'm concerned.
It's just garbage. I might as well just eat marshmallows.
Have a donut. I mean, that's not the advice I'm giving. Eat a donut versus veggies,
but
right?
it's really like...
But there's no nutritional value left.
It's night and day. And you know, have you ever heard about the idea, but it's actual fact, that 80% of our immune system resides in our gut?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes,
for
I have.
plants, 80% of their immune system, if not more, resides in the soil. So when you've got soil that has been fertilized and bombarded with these chemicals and just not supplied with the right nutrients, then what tends to happen is these sick, weak plants, they just continue on that way and they rob any nutrients that might be in the soil. So after a few growing sessions, it's completely void. So then they have to keep putting fertilizer in. The horrible thing about that is that plants
Your food
actually
is literally full of shit.
Yes, it's horrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But yes, it is. Yes. So what happens, though, is that just in the same way that our gut system has these little hair-like structures called villi on them, and those are the absorbable surface. So when you're eating something and it goes down to your intestinal tract, everything goes through these little porous areas. Well, plants have the same thing. They've got root systems that are inferior, that can't absorb a lot, so they rely on the layers upon layers of fungus and microbacteria down there to bring the nutrients in bioavailable form to them. So when you're looking at conventional plants, they actually don't have that same system in place because they can't. The soil's not rich enough for them. So it has an unhealthy gut system. It's got only 3, this is a conventional plant. It only has 3 different, at the most, typically, trace minerals in it. And then it doesn't have any of the power to grow strong. And so the seed has either been genetically modified and or it then needs to be sprayed. And
It basically just looks like
it
fruit
looks
and
like
vegetable,
food.
but it's not.
So here's one of the fun things, I think it's fun, that we do at LiteBOD is I brought in a microscope into.
Sounds fun, but you're like horrifying me right now.
I know.
And I'm like, no wonder I've had infertility for 6 years.
Yeah, like honestly.
What am I eating? Oh my god.
Or you think about like
your food becomes the next version of you, right? So your new cells were made with the pizza that you ate last week. And if your body can't eliminate it, and if it can't utilize it, it's going to store it in fat. And it's going to store it away from your internal organs is to protect them, right? It doesn't want any of those toxins getting near your heart. And so your body's highly, highly intelligent. And I believe that if we approach the body in that way, and we believe that it never does anything stupid, that it's always adjusting and adapting to deficiency and toxicity, that we could live completely different lives.
wow.
So knowing where our food comes from
I don't
is
think
the
I've
basis
ever
point.
had I know like we know these things, but like the way that you're describing it is blowing my mind right now.
And I'm the person, like, I love this information because I need to know why. Everyone's like, eat organic. I'm like, why?
Same, exactly. Like, and I also don't want to be a sheep. I don't want to just be feel
Totally.
suckered into
Well, let me just go pay double on produce or whatever, right? This for
Absolutely.
me is like, so informative.
and it's also
but
so
what I needed.
awful. Like
Yeah.
the
It's
farming
horrible.
process.
And that people just don't even know this.
They don't know. And here's the other thing too, is that you'll hear a lot, buy local, grow local, or buy organic.
Yeah.
If it's not certified organic, don't touch it when you're trying to improve the health of your body. Because
Buy local is almost just a marketing ploy.
Well, I was going to ask about
absolutely,
buy
you
local.
can still get conventional local. So
Yeah.
to me, that's irrelevant. Having said that, during the growing months, we get 90% or better of our produce here locally, anywhere between Chilliwack out to Pemberton. We work with some of the farms on the island as well. So we actually physically will go out and walk the farms with the farmers. We'll see their third-party microbial tests. We'll see all of that. We know how far in proximity they are to other conventionally grown farms. So it's really, really important to know where the food is grown, how the food is grown, what went into the soil, because organics are all about soil health. As long as the soil is strong, just in the same way with us, as long as our gut is strong, we're going to have a really strong system overall. So that is just the beginning as to what goes into all of this.
My mind is so blown right
So
now.
I'm happy that we're celery juicing. Have you been using organic, Kate?
I switched over after I talked to Melissa. And I think I actually did notice a difference in my skin mostly.
Wow.
You'll notice a really big difference now over time. Now, here's
Yeah.
the other thing is the juicer that you're using. What kind of juicer is it?
I have no idea. My boyfriend gave it to me. It's like
Does it spin
it's
really
old.
fast? Is it loud?
It's really loud.
Okay, so chances are that's a centrifugal juicer. Those things spin at about 15,000 RPM. They obliterate anything that's live.
Oh, so I want a new juicer too.
Yes, and unfortunately, I'm so sorry, guys.
Hold
I
on,
feel
I'm
like
going-
I've come
I'm
in
going
and
on
I've dampered
Amazon
everything
right
down.
now.
No,
to see
this
what I
is
ordered.
really good.
Yeah.
This is really good. Okay, what's the juicer we all need to have?
So the centrifugal juicers, like I said, they obliterate anything that's live. And so you've only got about 15 minutes. That's why they say drink your juice right away.
Slow juicing.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a slow masticating juicer.
Perfect.
Extractor, easy to clean, quiet motor, and reverse function. Oh my god, I didn't know it had a reverse function. That makes so much sense. Like, I need
So if
that.
things jam up, you actually click the reverse. It shoots the carrot right back up again.
Okay, I'm pretty happy. And mine was only like $100 on Amazon.
Okay, send me the link to yours.
Perfect. So
I
that
round
one
down.
is
It was
fabulous.
140.
Okay.
But still.
It's awesome for home use. That one is.
Yeah,
And
small.
yeah, but unfortunately the ones that go really, really fast, there's nothing left in them. There's only about 5% of the nutrients. So you'd actually have to have about 19 cups of those to match the potency in one of ours.
Oh my god.
Oh, Kate, you've been doing it all wrong.
I have.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
19
relieved
of
you're
them.
here.
I blame Luke.
I blame him too.
But I totally, what I agree with the most, and I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves on the podcast, is you, like this, when you talk about like down to a cellular level about our cells regenerating and how our daily lives affect that. If you're not fueling it, what is it regenerating into?
Say that again?
Okay, I'm thinking of like if you're not providing the right fuel for your cells,
Oh, I see
how
what
are
you're
they
saying.
regenerating? How are they healing themselves, or how are they improving themselves, or are you just degenerating?
Well, so here's the thing, is that metabolism is a process of building up and breaking down, okay? So as your body is getting healthier and stronger, it's building up, building up, building up. If it's not getting stronger, it's breaking down more than faster than it's building up, or it's building up with things that, like I said before, were made from pizza, right? It's going to try to draw any little micronutrients out of it to create the next version of you.
Right.
So it might be created incorrectly. And this is why cleanses, and I hate that word, I prefer to call them nutrient floods, because I don't believe in cleansing. I really don't think that the actual physical word cleanse, I don't think that that's an accurate description as to what's happening. I believe it's adding nutrients back into the body. So in answer to your question, it's the body's pulling from reserves, but over time you're going to get sicker if you're not fueling the body correctly. Fasting is wonderful because it's going to pull on those reserves. It's going to send your body into a completely different state. But it's also going to have a certain amount of stress on the body, and that's a whole other discussion as well. But
that's like all the rage right now is this fasting, and people eat, are changing the times that they eat.
like
and
intermittent
Oh,
fasting.
yeah, intermittent fasting.
Yeah, it's intermittent fasting is beautiful. It's beautiful. However, during the time that you're
so
eating,
is pizza. So like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place.
it's so hard, and it shouldn't be an all or nothing discussion. I
Right.
really don't think it should be. I don't think that food should be an exercise in deprivation. I think it should fuel us, make us happy. I think it should make us feel fulfilled. I think it should make us feel strong physically. But everything does come back to a cellular level. It really does, because that's how the body sees it. On the inside, our body is responding to the world very differently than how we, as spiritual beings, are viewing the world on the outside.
Totally. And
Right?
how much is our body limiting us, limiting our mind? Like sometimes I feel like when I know I'm not in a healthy place, like I'm in a fog. I'm not thinking properly. I'm not seeing things clearly. I'm not living my best life because I'm limited. And a lot of that is my physical situation.
Absolutely.
Right? Like
it
as
plays
a
a huge role. Huge. And one of the things that I was mentioning to Katelyn is about the gut-brain connection, and that's huge for me. I'm actually going to be going back to school so that I can participate in some of these. I want to go to the next level up. I want to participate in some of these studies because it's so interesting to me. We have 100 trillion cells in and on our body, and only 10% of them contain human DNA. The other 90% are the microbes that live in and on our body that
Oh my goodness.
that work with us. So if we can learn how to feed them correctly, and that includes all the microbes that are in our gut, there are more receptors in the gut that talk to the brain than any other organ in the body.
I believe
So-
everything you're saying.
Right? So depending on what's down there and how we're feeding it and what we're doing and the stress levels that we carry and the lack of sleep that we have or the, life and juggling everything, they respond and react and adjust and adapt accordingly. And they work with the brain. So when you're experiencing brain fog, it could be a myriad of things. But look to the gut first, because if your gut system isn't working right, you're not going to, most of your serotonin's made in the gut, about 80%. So if you're having depression or you're not really with it, take a look at the gut first. If your thyroid isn't working properly, it might not be a thyroid issue. A lot of the T4 converting into T3, which is the active form of the thyroid hormone, it converts in the gut. It converts in the liver and in the lungs as well. So if you're having gut issues, it's going to affect so many other things, including brain fog and cloudiness and heaviness.
Okay, should we
Wow.
finish our boss or bust, fast track over the Q&As and get right to like your
Yeah,
your
I'm like,
history? 'Cause
skip
I feel
the
like
Q&A.
I feel like it's so fluffy and she's got so much content and you're such a wealth of knowledge.
So sorry, I feel like I've just...
No,
No.
it's so
Do
intriguing.
not feel sorry. We are so happy
I
about
want
this.
like we want to know like who you are and what you like. What's your background? What do you do? Like what are your qualifications? And like more into you.
Okay.
Should we do that?
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
looking-
know where our time's at, but let's just dive in.
Yeah, I feel like there's just I know that there's a wealth of knowledge
Oh,
here.
yeah. I think you have such an interesting story. Kate forwarded me the voice memo that you
Yeah.
had sent her, and you were sharing some of your story, and I was mind blown because your journey has started so organically through everything, which is, I mean, everything
Yeah.
you do is organic now, but it was just such a cool story to hear, and your revelations through school with the pigs.
Yes.
Okay.
My heart was so severely broken after that.
Okay, so
So
no
you
one
went to
knows-
medical school, right?
Yeah, no one
No.
knows the pigs thing, but share your story.
No, I left. I left before I got my degree.
Oh, you did?
I did. I left
I
my
introduced you as a doctor.
Oh, I totally missed that.
I'm so sorry.
no.
Well,
Okay.
in my mind, she is.
I know. In my
so-
mind, you're a doctor. So
No, but this is all I've studied for the last 20 years.
wow. Yeah.
So, But
Yeah,
no,
share with
But you
us
went to
that
medical
story.
school, or you went
No-
to university.
no, I went to
You
university.
dropped out in your last semester.
And in my very last semester, I knew my family had been in real estate, and it was my job when I was about 5 years old to sweep out the houses. Like we'd been involved in business and in real estate and commerce and that sort for a very long time. And so when I was in my very last semester of real estate, my daughter Olivia, she was 4 turning 5, and I wanted to be able to put her into a private school for kindergarten. I felt all 2-parent households should be able to do that. So I wanted to be able to do it too. So
Did we say that you were a single mom, or did I miss that part? I know we talked
did.
about it before.
We did
You
say that.
okay.
Yeah.
okay. So here I am. I've got my little girl, and we're living in a 1-bedroom condo, and I had to sell my house and my car to go back to school. And now I'm looking on the outside of that thinking I need to provide for my daughter. I want to drive for field trips. I want to be able to have play dates over at the house again and do all of that. So in my last semester, I ended up taking the real estate course alongside of my studies. I got my license, dove into the family business, and I didn't look back for about 17 years.
Wow.
And yeah, but in the meanwhile, I'm taking in lectures and courses and everything else that I could get my hands on, Chinese medicine, everything over the last probably 17, 18 years. And that has been my true love and passion. I remember waking up one morning going, what if I pursued my love instead of my necessity? And I needed to do it. I took the jump, and there's a good story around that too, but I'm not going to share it here right now. But I took the jump, and I'm so grateful that I landed well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love the direction you've gone to because you have such a wealth of information around it. And I think it's so interesting hearing all of this. Can you share the pig story?
The
I
pig
thought
story.
it was so impactful because it was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's an interesting thought.
So for that, we'll go back to high school. So we're in biology class. I think it was probably, I don't know, grade 8, and we're about to dissect an eye, and everybody's grossed out by it. And I'm thinking, this is the coolest thing. I was that
I
kid.
from what?
It was like a sheep or a lamb
Oh,
or
yeah,
a
I
cow or
remember that.
something. And do you remember doing that?
My class was supposed to do like a cow's eye, and I lied and said it was against my religion, and I wouldn't do it. I went and sat in the hallway.
Oh my gosh,
I don't think I could do that.
Oh, and most kids were grossed out. They were just like, oh, I'm not touching that. And to me, it was the coolest thing. Like I was the kid that took apart the TV or the radio just to see how it worked. And of course, got in massive trouble for that. But so here I am, grade 8, and I'm looking at this thing, and my teacher comes over and he's looking at it and he's like, oh my gosh, he says, you did very well. And he says, in grade 9, you get to dissect a fish, I think it was. So couldn't wait for grade 9. So grade 9 comes along and we're doing that. So anyhow, through the years, we're doing this. And I hit first year biology and post-secondary. And one of the labs is to dissect a fetal pig. And this thought came into my mind, and I thought, well, why are these things so readily available to not only our school, not only the semester, not only our country, but why are they so readily accessible? And they're fetal, so that means that they died before they were even given birth to.
Yeah.
What happened? And I don't know why I'd never asked that question before, but it just dawned on me. It was just such a weird thing.
Yeah.
And I asked my prof, and his answer was, we get them from a warehouse back east. And I'm like,
so like it's
Isn't
such,
that
there's such a,
heart-wrenching?
disconnect with like the emotional impact of that.
hugely, vastly. And so this is, I mean, we're talking like 18 years ago now, right? And so this was before any of the documentaries were out. This is before like Forks Over Knives. And a lot of people can't even watch those because of some of the clips that are in there. And so I was actually looking at YouTube footage because Warehouse Back East didn't make any sense to me. And so I needed to know more. So in fine fashion, and this is something that I'm known for, I dig deep into things.
Yeah.
And so I dug deep into this one. And this is when YouTube was first sort of coming out and being relevant. And so I was watching all of these footages of people who snuck into these factory farms and were showing how these animals actually were being grown and then harvested, and they're actually getting treated worse than plants. And it was so horrific, and I think I had nightmares after that for about 3 months. I instantly became a vegan. I started buying organic produce only because I knew that the plants were being ravaged alongside of that, because after learning about the animals, I had to learn about the plants. And so from there, it just, I needed to know more. I needed to know more and more. And well, why was that happening, and how come? And is there something else? And what I learned was that only 1% of all of the farms in North America are certified organic. Only 1%. All the other 99% are not. And so for me, it was such a turning point. And that from there, it grew a passion. I needed to know more about, on a molecular level, how was all of this assembled. Of course, going down into the little bits and pieces of it all, I needed to know more. So that's really where this journey for me began. And I just continued on learning about farming methods and about agriculture and about our gut system and about the brain and about the different systems within our body and how nothing is separate, and how, a lot of kidney issues are actually circulatory issues. They're not kidney issues. And it's because our body is so connected in every way, shape, and form.
Of course.
You can't just take out one part of it and diagnose that one part. You have to see the whole cascade of events that have come up to it and how you're feeling. And
it's so funny that you phrase it in that way, because it's like psychology. Like the mind works the same. You can't be like, oh, you just are feeling insecure right now. Like you have to look at everything else that's led up to that.
Yes.
And it's the same with our physical body.
It's huge. Everything on the inside of our body is a chemical response. Everything. So on the outside of our cells, we've got hundreds of thousands of different little antennae that pick up different signals. So if you've got stress going on, the body sends that signal out and the cells pick it up. And then they go into the nucleus of the cell where everything gets made, where all the recipe books are. Now, a lot of people think that the DNA in the nucleus, that is the brain of the cell, or the heart of the cell. You can actually remove the DNA completely and remove the nucleus from a cell, and it'll still stay alive and active for months, providing it's been fed correctly, because the brain of the cell is on the outside, not the inside. Wow. So the chemical response comes in, and the body, the cells start to generate whatever it is that's needed. And then they send that back out through the cell into the body so that the rest of the body can utilize it. It has that ability to be able to do those things based on the nutrition. So if we don't have the correct nutrition coming in, the output isn't going to be correct either. And so we can get sick, we can get weak, the immune system's impeccable, and
even
it's
just
incredible.
At best case scenario, just feel generally crappy. Like there's so many awful things that can come that our society lives with: cancer, infertility. I mean, there's how many preventable diseases are there that are literally a result of
I would say all of them. I mean, there are very, very few. I believe there's less than 4% that are true genetic mutations. Less than 4%. And the right environment has to be present in order to activate it. Genes just don't present on their own. They don't turn on, they don't go through that. They're blueprints. So it's like going to a construction site, rolling out a set of blueprints and saying, well, which ones are on and which ones are off? Well, neither. It doesn't work like that. It's what do you want to replicate? And did the replication happen correctly, or did something happen in the meanwhile? Did it mutate? And there are several different steps after it gets created, after whatever it is that you want to replicate. After that gets created, there's several steps where something can go wrong. So...
Oh my gosh. But I feel like our listeners are probably thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. Like, how do you reverse the hands of time? Like, how do you undo the damage that we've done?
Well, yeah. And my question actually was going to be, okay, so we know there's a lot that can be prevented. Where do we start? How do we support our bodies to healing from the inside out?
Because it's almost a little bit daunting, the whole picture you're painting.
For sure.
I'm feeling almost like an emotional connection to it. Like, oh my goodness, like it is obviously, how could I disagree with anything that you're saying?
Yeah. And for me, having been on this infertility journey for so long and listening to what my naturopath is telling me, you're taking it to a next level where I'm actually understanding why she's telling me what she's telling me to do. So just as a whole, what's a great place to start in best supporting your body to healing?
And I don't want to, I'm not a doctor. I can't generalize this either. But I know so many people struggling with infertility that, in my opinion, are very healthy people that should not be struggling. It is too common in our world now. Something is the obvious problem.
Yeah. Yeah, where do we start just as the people to be healthier?
Yeah, the vast majority of our food, I mean, as we previously discussed, is void of actual nutrients.
Yeah.
Right? And then in addition to that, it comes with its whole set of chemicals. I mean, conventional blueberries, they come with about 12 different ingredients. It's not just a blueberry. So just being very, very mindful, switching to a plant-based. That's why certified organic is very important. Here's my belief, though. I believe that certified organic is the bare minimum standard. It is not the gold star. It's the beginning place for anything that we should call food, anything that we think is going to heal our body. So really, I would say it starts with eliminating the 4 most toxic things in our world that we consider to be food, and that would be things like any sort of animal protein. And this is until you've
I
healed
thought she
your
was going
gut.
to say alcohol. I'm like,
No,
Probably coming next.
worried.
She's only at number one.
alcohol
Donni.
doesn't even make the list because not too many people use it in excess, right?
right. Me neither.
But we're eating meat every day. We're eating.
Donnie's always honest.
I love it. But we're eating these things every day. So
Yeah.
wheat, sugar, any form of dairy. So dairy.
Wheat,
I'm on the
sugar.
best fast or cleanse right now because that's everything we've eliminated.
Beautiful.
Well, I got bad news, Leah. This doesn't end in January.
I'm doing so good. Well, it's a lot of how I eat anyhow. Like I'm making my same recipes, so I feel really good about
Okay,
myself
so
right
what
now.
are the four?
Okay.
Wheat.
So removing wheat from your diet. Wheat has grown very differently now than it was even 30, 40 years
That's what I
ago.
keep
So
hearing.
no wheat is
Yeah.
safe.
No wheat. If you can find stone ground, organic, certified organic oats, and just have like a quarter cup, you're good.
Okay, well, what about
But-
bread?
Again, it's not about deprivation.
No.
It's
Yeah.
about on. It's a sliding scale.
No, but
And
if
where
I'm
do you
like,
want to be?
like you send lunches to school for your kids, like what am I gonna make for them? You know what I mean? Sandwiches are an
yeah.
easy go to. Is there any bread that you feel like is
I would
kind
say
of
anything sprouted.
Yeah.
Go with
Okay.
the sprouted grain.
Okay.
Sprouted grain bread.
sprouted grain, or like would you say like any gluten free options are good?
I wouldn't go with the gluten-free.
Okay.
Gluten-free tends to take gluten out, which is unnecessary because all wheat has been grown incorrectly, right? So even if you're just taking out the protein of the wheat,
Just writing a
The rest,
grocery list
the
right
rest
here.
is the problem too.
it's still there, right?
yeah, wow.
So you can get like so many different grains. So you would like to choose one that doesn't have wheat.
Preferably.
Okay.
Preferably. Yeah, spelt is really great.
I think there's a brand that I know of. I think Ezekiel breads.
Yeah.
Do sprouted.
Very nice. Silver Hills over here as well.
Yes. Oh, I love Silver Hills.
Well, I've
They
been
do
buying
sprouted.
Silver Hills because they have a lot of gluten-free options.
Okay,
as well.
nice.
So do you think that those are safe? Maybe.
Just check the list of ingredients. Like anything, just be very mindful of what is in every single product. I think there's a huge responsibility in learning what are the ingredients, where did they come from, and that's sort of that's my checklist. That's everything that we bring into our household. What is it? Where was it grown? What's
So
it?
wheat wasn't always bad. Wheat is just
No.
bad now, and there's just no.
It's so heavily genetically modified now to grow a certain height, a certain color, to withstand certain conditions. So in case of no rainfall or in case of flooding, it's able to withstand all of those.
Wow.
It
Which
never
is
used
so-
to be able to.
So it's
So
nutrient
unnatural.
void again.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting better wheat. What's the next one?
So removing sugar from your diet.
Okay.
Okay.
I agree
Now
with
that's
this.
not the same as the sugar that's coming out of fruits or vegetables. It's very different. So when high fructose corn syrup came about, it's 3 times more sweet, and you need a third of it to have that same amount of sweetness, right? But when it hits the bloodstream, what happens is it gets shot over to the liver, and the liver just sees it as a foreign invader and tries to get rid of it. But while it's in the bloodstream, it can actually get into cells and do damage on that level as well. So high fructose corn syrup isn't just about everything. I mean, it's in everything from your Starbucks drink to ketchup to whatever. It's in everything. It's almost impossible to avoid.
Yeah.
So just removing all sugars other than the stuff that's coming out of organic fruits and vegetables, and
So where do you stand on coconut sugar?
indifferent.
Okay.
Again, I'm not an all or nothing person. So
Yeah.
if you want to have something in, find the best alternative for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of these things are all good the way they are right now, but as soon as it becomes like all the rage, then it becomes like heavily manufactured and modified, that it's probably going to change as well. Like wheat wasn't always bad, but it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard about high fructose corn syrup and some other things, but I've heard that coconut sugar is a better alternative if it's organic. But
Probably.
Coconut sugar's nice.
Or like agave.
Yes and no. Everything comes with pros and cons. Agave and how it's grown and the bees and the things that are happening with that too. So it really depends. You have to know what your own value system is, and then where does your food fit within that.
Okay.
yeah.
It's different for everybody.
All
You can
right.
go to that extreme level, but then you stop living, I think. You stop living on an emotional level. You stop. Food is such
Oh,
a
yeah.
social thing in our world. So
Oh, I'm such a foodie.
Well, it can become
especially
such a difficult point if you're just so like religious about everything you eat. It becomes
too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
too much.
Too much. So, and then the next thing is dairy.
Yeah.
Removing all dairy. So dairy has one significant hormone, and it actually has 59 different hormones, and it doesn't matter if it's organic, non-organic, it doesn't matter if it's homogenized, non-fat, low-fat, 2%, it doesn't matter. It's got 59 hormones in it intended for baby cow. One of those hormones, find your words, one of those hormones is called insulin-like growth factor 1. And its primary job is to get baby cow from 60 pounds to a full-grown cow in a very short span of time. That is the hormone that's responsible for bone growth in humans. It has the same response in cows as it does in humans. So it doesn't discern against what it grows, though. And so it grows tumor tissue, it grows bones, it grows fat, it grows absolutely everything. It's not intended for us. And so for that reason, and the casein, which is one of the 2 proteins, it actually makes our blood sticky and thick. So if you remove dairy out of your world, you'll notice a big difference as well. Dairy, when it's given to especially infants, it causes bleeding in their intestinal tract. As soon as the dairy hits, it causes a rupture, and it starts to bleed a little bit, and so there's real discomfort from that.
Oh my goodness.
So in replacement, if a mom can't, fun fact, if a mama can't nurse, if she doesn't have her milk coming in, cold pressed
What if she
organic.
can't stop nursing?
If she can't stop nursing, that's a whole other beautiful issue.
Cold pressed organic.
Carrot juice.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's a
It's so
complete protein. It
simple.
has all the vitamins and minerals that baby needs to grow healthy and strong. Do not buy formula ever again, but it has to be cold pressed. I don't know that masticating would do it. So here's the deal. Do you remember when we talked about the centrifugal juicers, the one that's been really fast? Okay, so 19 cups of those to match the potency in one of ours. With masticating, you'd need to have 3 of them to 4 to match the potency in one of ours.
Okay.
So can I do
So-
this at home?
Absolutely.
Like my juicer is not a cold pressed juicer.
No.
Okay.
Yours
so,
is a slow juicer. It's a masticating, and it's perfect for home use, but it wouldn't have the same
so
type of maximum potency.
do you
that a
think it
cold
would
press.
still be good to do organic carrot juice for my daughter? She's 1.5. Like
Absolutely.
that would be
amazing? Yes, absolutely.
because carrots are sweet too. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
they are.
Elliot would like that.
Yeah, she would like
Yeah.
it.
And they're
And
so
it looks
great.
like orange juice, so it's not like a scary, like the blue juices they might think are weird.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
This is very
Okay, so that's a
informative.
great
Okay.
place to start. Wheat, dairy, sugar, meat out.
Yeah.
Oh, meat was the
Gone.
4th. I never
Meat
wrote
was
that
the
down.
4th.
Any animal protein. And there's a 5th one that
What is
kind
that?
of
What is it?
resides
Okay,
with it.
tell
It's
us.
soy.
So like no tofu.
The vast majority of soy now, 95%, is genetically modified. So if you can find it that where it's organic, then that's great. But
So organic soy, maybe.
organic soy, depending, again, anytime you isolate anything in nature, you're denaturing it, so to speak, right?
How do you feel about Beyond Meat burgers from A&W?
You know what? As a
I
meat-
said I would ask all
she's-
my honest questions.
I love it.
She's like, ditch everything except for the patty.
As a treat.
It's as a treat. It's an alternative to meat, and I'd say any alternative in that direction is great. Just don't stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Keep
every once in
moving.
a while. Great, go there. I'm not about deprivation. It's if you want it, go have it. It's probably the best of the alternatives at
Right.
the time.
Yeah.
So do it.
Yeah.
And then go back to whatever it is that you're wanting to do health wise. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm inspired. I'm so inspired to make these. I think there are small changes I've already started making in my life.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some hard lines I'm going to have after this.
And do you know what I would say is, unless you plan on dying at some point in the next 3 to 6 months, take a year to make these changes.
Right.
Don't do it all overnight.
Yeah.
Don't, because if you can take your time with
so
it,
hard.
it's so hard.
Yeah. If
It's
you're all or
so
nothing,
hard.
you're just going to not do it.
And you'll get grumpy and angry, and you'll take it out on your family, or you'll take it out on your coworkers, or wherever.
Yeah, we don't want that,
And
guys.
no, and so if you can just take your time with it and implement the good before you take anything bad out, anything that you think is bad, right?
What was that word you used? You didn't like cleansing, but you were talking about.
Like nutrient flooding.
Right. Like, I feel like if
Yeah.
you focus on the positive, there's less room for the bad.
Absolutely.
So if you're with
yeah.
your kids, if they're full from the healthy food that they ate, there's less room for the treats.
Yes.
But also, like, I've been sharing with you some of the desserts I've been making.
Like, you're not struggling.
We're not struggling. I make banana ice cream.
Beautiful. We do that all the time too.
I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I just had chia pudding and I'm like, oh, this is like such a rich, decadent treat. It's like chia seeds, banana.
Right, but I also think
milk.
you are not the norm because
No,
you
I'm
guys
not, but
live
I've
a
been
generally healthy life. And remember, like,
But it's taken us like 6 or 7 years to get here. Like I didn't start here. We just found out about allergies and all these struggles years ago.
One thing that stuck with me from the Smart Sweets podcast is her tagline, "Kick sugar." Like, it is a drug, and there's a process to getting that out of your system, and with withdrawing or just like not craving it. Yeah. When you don't have it for a long period of time, you truly don't really miss it or want it at all.
That's why when you ask me if I miss anything, I genuinely don't. And when we had these juices yesterday afternoon, it really picked me up because the sugar from the juice, I was like, I haven't had any sugar in like 2 weeks, and I'm like energized from fruit.
Yeah.
I felt great.
You've been eating a lot of oranges to get your sugar kicked in.
A lot of oranges, like candy.
They are like candy.
They totally are like candy.
They're so wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, what other tidbits do you have in there?
Oh my gosh, I feel like there's so many. Something that Kate brought up is that you also, and I don't know the extent to this, she just briefly said that you help people that are fighting cancer with your juices.
Yeah,
amazing.
So about 25% of the work that we do is with cancer patients. And we've seen absolutely phenomenal, incredible results. Yes. So the juice recipe that we make is not mine. We make roughly 27 different products now, all of which are my recipes. However,
I want
this
you to
one
go
in
slowly,
particular.
'cause I'm going to write this down.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this one too.
So this is from the Gerson Institute. They've got the highest rate of curing stage 3 and 4 cancer worldwide, bar none, and they do it through boosting the immune system. How they do that is through nutrition, through adding in potassium compounds, for adding in iodine, coffee enemas. Have you ever heard of a coffee enema before? No. Okay.
But I'm laughing
because
I have heard of it.
I'm thinking of a coffee enema.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
You're
sounds
thinking of the right thing. Donnie's like booking it for tomorrow.
So
okay.
So you do it at home. You just do it at home. There's a very particular way of doing it, of making
Hold
the
on,
coffee
like
at
we're
home.
actually putting coffee up your ass?
Yes.
No, I don't do that at home.
I might. Tell me
Donnie
more.
would.
It's absolutely, it's incredible, and it's vital for cancer patients. Now, here's why. Most people who ask us about coffee enemas say, you want me to put coffee up where? What are you talking about?
I'm more thinking like how.
And so you get either a hot water bottle or a stainless steel pot. It has a tube attached to it with a nozzle. And you lay down on your bathroom floor, lay a towel out. I know it sounds fun, hey? And
This is the tagline for the podcast.
This for sure. Coffee enemas. We skipped our Q&A for coffee enemas. Enough said. Sorry, Melissa, go on.
So you lay down, and after the coffee's been made, and insert tube using maybe some coconut oil
You let
or
it
something.
cool first, right?
Absolutely. There's a method to how to make it. You actually have to use dead water with it. So you have to use distilled water only.
Okay.
No spring water, no filtered, no nothing else.
Okay.
Because you have to be very, very careful with whatever's going up into your intestinal tract, because it now doesn't have the protection of the stomach, right? To kill everything first.
Okay.
So it has to be dead water going up. It has to be certified organic coffee, and has to be brewed in a very, very particular way. And then you cool it right back down to the temperature that you'd be familiar with this, that you feed a baby a bottle at.
Probably. Okay.
Right? So dip your wrist in, and you're going to check and make sure that it's just lukewarm, because you don't want to burn your intestines.
Okay.
So
That's fair.
right? Fair enough. So you're lying down, and you're just going to rest for about 15 minutes while this is happening. And for every 3 minutes that goes by, all of the blood in your entire body actually cycles through the liver once. So you're getting 5 times of your blood being pushed through the liver at light speed. But the other thing is that the palmitic acid in the coffee, this is the real thing. You're not doing this as a colon cleanse or an intestinal tract cleanse. What happens is the palmitic acid in the coffee opens up the bile ducts of the liver by 20 to 30%. Most people don't even understand what that is. So what that is all of the waste that your liver produces. Now, your liver does every transaction in the body. If there's a conversion that needs to happen, it happens with the liver first on the inside of your body. So the waste that comes out of that produces, it's something called bile. And it's very, very, very alkaline. It's kind of like battery acid. And it drips out of the liver, and it goes into the gallbladder. Have you ever heard of gallbladder before?
Yeah.
Okay. Most people sort of know what a gallbladder is, they think, but they don't actually quite know what it does. So what it does is it's a very protective sac, and it just holds this bile stuff. The gallbladder does, rather. The gallbladder holds, and it stores, and it concentrates it and makes it very, very, very alkaline. It becomes like a battery acid. It's that alkaline because it's meeting with stomach acid that's extremely acidic. So what happens is the bile ducts, they just drip, 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 drip constantly into this thing. But when the palmitic acid from the coffee comes along, it opens up those bile ducts 20 to 30%. So instead of having like a garbage can full of stuff being dumped out, you're dumping out a dump truck full of stuff. It's a massive, massive, massive difference. It's a huge purge of the liver, and the liver is now able to detoxify more, to be able to do better. It's now been cleaned out. A lot of us.
So this is a detox. I was like, what is the major purpose of this? I'm
You're
trying to
like,
get to
why
the,
am I doing this?
It's threefold, actually. So the first one is it helps the liver. The second one is in the liver, you actually make a very powerful antioxidant called glutathione transferase, GST for short. And what it does is it goes throughout the bloodstream and it collects all the heavy metals. And yeah, it's amazing. And it collects heavy metals. It helps to any toxins that might be floating in the body. It grabs hold of that, brings it back into the liver.
How else do you get it out?
It's very difficult, and it can take a long time, right? So it does that. And then the other thing that it does is it does help you to evacuate and to move some stuff out.
You probably feel so good after.
You actually feel amazing, and it's necessary. So when you're running the Gerson protocol, which is the group that is doing this, when you run the Gerson protocol, one of the aspects is the coffee enema. But here's the deal: is that these people are taking 13 8-ounce juices per day of this one particular recipe.
And they're doing the enema how often?
4 to 5 times a day. Now the enema
This is like in lieu of chemo.
Yes, exactly. So if you miss that, if you miss your juices, or if you miss a coffee enema, it's like missing a chemo treatment.
Okay, so
that's amazing.
For
It's very powerful.
somebody who, because my mind goes, okay, well, if this is treating cancer, why would I not want to, on some level, incorporate this into my life, right? Like, would you ever want to like drink one of these like recipes, like for just like a layman's?
Absolutely. Oh, well, it's very expensive. So this is the only one. So with us, we just charge our cost on this one.
Right.
So we make these juices, and we make them in little 8-ounce bottles,
Yeah.
and we make them fresh every couple of days so that these guys have it fresh on hand.
Fresh.
And you're
Yes.
supplying them in a large quantity, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh
to
yeah,
people
because
who are
they're
doing the
having
juice.
like 13 a day.
And people are obviously doing this from home. They're treating themselves.
Yes.
Because
Yeah. These
I
are
mean,
people who haven't gone down to the Gerson Clinic in Mexico. They're not there. They're here. They're working with their practitioner. And a lot of the functional doctors now are incorporating things from Eastern and Western and natural, and they're bringing it all together in this beautiful way to create this whole new practice of medicine. And
Can you
I
tell
love
me
it.
what this juice is
I do
called
too.
again?
It's called, if you go to gerson.org,
Gerson.
GERSON.org,
Yeah.
you'll find a myriad of resources there. It's just incredible. Wow. So this is the juice that we make for them.
Do you sell this as part of your system, or this is more just a private thing
This
that you
is just
do?
on the outside. I'm actually
Wow,
teaching
you're
a course on
humanitarian.
it.
That's quite wonderful
love
that
it.
you do that.
Yeah, it's so impactful in so many ways. And and my kids get to see this too, right? And they get to be a part of this. And so for them going, oh my gosh, like there's this one beautiful girl, and she's young, she's in her early 30s, and she is just such a fighter and such a powerhouse, and she's dealt with a couple of different varieties of cancer, and varieties, that sounds terrible, but a couple of different forms of cancer, and she's got little guys, and she's really it's just been such a battle. And so once she started doing the juices and adding that in and adding the coffee enemas in, game changer night and day. She went from stage 4 to being nearly cleared in like 6 months, like a very short span of time.
Oh my goodness.
And that's not uncommon. It's people with cancer have very, 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 very toxic livers. And so the liver can't handle very much. And this is why the coffee enema is so important, right? Because you're adding in this vast amount of nutrients at a very high level, consistently, back to back to back. Well, that's too much for the liver to handle. The other thing,
Right, like would it be bad for somebody who was doing chemotherapy to do this as well?
they can't.
It's too much for their body.
Because here's the thing is, if you remember from what we were talking about maybe half an hour ago, we were talking about how whatever the body can't utilize, it will store in fat, right? Or it'll try to get rid of it.
So you don't want them to store extra toxins. I mean,
They're going to
chemo.
store that chemo, right? So here's the deal, is that when when you're flooding your body with all of these nutrients, what happens is the body starts to build itself up stronger. It helps to build the immune system stronger. And it starts to dismantle the old, and it sends it into the bloodstream. It breaks down tumor tissue and sends it through the bloodstream. Tumor tissue is very, very toxic. And so you have to make sure that that alone has an escape route, but then you couple it with chemo being stored in the fat and now getting back into the bloodstream, you can overdose somebody. So you don't want that to happen.
So how, if you were a cancer patient, how would you incorporate this without choosing it over chemo, period? Like, would you do it in maybe one of the off weeks, or would you?
It really depends.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't suggest this for everybody unless you're going to have somebody at your side running this protocol with you 24 hours a day. See, it takes about 16 different generations of new liver cells to regenerate a liver. Wow. And that happens over the course of about 1.5 to 2 years. It's not fast. And so all of these different processes take time. So they need to have somebody on hand with them all the time, 24/7, because they're exhausted. They have no energy already. And who knows if they have children and other responsibilities. So somebody has to be there running the protocol with them. In lieu of that, if they don't have that, then chemo may have a place. Maybe have 1, 2, 3 treatments, right? And maybe some radiation. I'm not necessarily saying that it's a good thing, but to each their own. Everybody gets to decide.
And I think really, like, we're not giving advice on the podcast. We are just offering alternatives on what some people are doing and the power of food, really, like in the right form.
And supporting your body.
It's everything. If you want to be healthy, like I said, I believe a baseline standard is certified organic. If it's not certified organic, then it's not food.
I'm really glad you said that, because I kind of had the perception I buy organic because I just do, but like Leah, like I didn't really understand why.
No,
And
people
it
have
seems
said you
fluffy
should
to
buy organic. Here's what veggies and fruit you should buy organic. Here's what you can kind of, but I want the why.
Yeah, I want to understand why, and I'm glad that I do now.
I know, I have such a better understanding. I will be listening to this podcast again so that I can just listen and take notes.
2 or 3 times. Yeah. Should we talk about your business? Because I feel like that is why.
I think we should. I think it's time. I think we should talk about your business.
Because now I can't wait. I tried one of your juices yesterday.
What did you try? Which one?
The hydrator.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was delicious.
This guy,
so good.
Okay.
Has anyone else not tried it? Because you guys can.
We tried a sip of yours. My favorite was the number 4, I believe.
That's that one.
Oh my gosh, so good.
I don't remember what number it was, but I tried dirt when I was at LiteBOD, and I thought it was going to taste like dirt, and it was actually so good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter's telling me number 1.
This one is delicious. The hydrator.
Yeah, I liked number 1 too. Oh man.
And I've got that one in here as well.
I just am so sold on your knowledge, and I just want to know like why you put things in here and what your purpose is and what you want people to know about your brand.
Okay. So I would say first and foremost, everything that we do is certified organic. Yeah. Baseline standard.
Well, I'd hope so.
Absolute
after this
minimum.
podcast.
Right?
Imagine it wasn't.
I want you to be organic, but I don't use it.
Yes, no. And all of our pulp actually gets returned back to certified organic farms as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So
and they use it for fertilizer, correct?
They compost it.
Yes.
And so they'll
compost,
find trees all of a sudden starting to grow, like little apple trees and honeydews and different things. And yeah, it's neat.
Okay, what can I do with my pulp at home? Like that I'm doing. Side note. Something is like this is a side note, but
if you have a garden, compost it. It'll take some time. Add some. It's going to sound funny, but add some worms in.
Yeah.
You can actually go to certain worm farms and find them. But what they do is they mulch it, they eat it, and they poop out really beautiful soil.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so put it in the garden.
Put it in the garden. Compost it properly. Do a little bit of research on it and what you want to do so that it doesn't smell and doesn't attract other. Other animals. But yeah, that's what I would do.
I'm excited about this journey. All right.
So, okay. So take, for example, 07 hydrator. So each one of our juices, let's start at the beginning actually. We have a range and they start at 00 and they go up to 12. 00 is our sweetest juice. 12 is our most earthy and our most pungent. So it's the opposite of wine.
12 is going to kick your ass.
Yes.
Okay.
But they've all been formulated also on a molecular level to truly serve a function in the body. So you can either go, well, do I want something sweeter? Do I want something a little more earthy? Or how do I want to heal my body? Or what am I feeling? Do I have a cold or flu coming on? Or am I feeling that my hormones are out of whack? What's going on? Yeah. And so you can approach it in 2 different ways. So let's talk about the hydrator here. This is 07. It's sort of right in the middle, but on the upper side. The blue color, it gets its coloring from an extract of spirulina called phycocyanin. So do you know what spirulina is? Mm-hmm. Okay. So
I do.
Most people think that spirulina is a blue-green algae.
Yeah.
It is not.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I thought that too. I know what spirulina is, but apparently I don't.
So it is and it isn't. It's not a plant. It's actually a cyanobacteria. So what that means, it's a bacteria, and it uses the sun to photosynthesize. So it uses the sun for its food and energy. And it crosses the blood-brain barrier. It helps to protect the myelin sheath in the brain. So you've got like this telephone wire. So you've got a receptor where a signal comes in, a telephone wire, and then a translator. And so what happens is that breaks down over time. So this helps to repair that. So it's good for cognitive function. It's good for endurance. It's good for, we work with people with MS and Parkinson's, and we have huge results with that one.
Wow.
Because the primary function of phycocyanin, the blue pigment, is to get into bone marrow and stimulate stem cell growth. So for regeneration, it's amazing.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, Donnie's.
I just snatched that. That seems like that would clear brain fog.
The other thing that it does, though, too, is it helps to improve collagen. So our bodies, 60 to 70% of the collagen, or 60% to 70% of the proteins that our bodies make are actually collagen proteins. And when they're made correctly with adequate amounts of real vitamin C, not the kind that you buy in a drugstore, but real vitamin C, collagen production is amazing. You'll have the most beautiful hair, nails, skin, and it affects the inside.
I don't
as
need
well.
that. I'm only 21, guys. So.
Donnie's promptly ordering a lifetime supply of number 7.
And I drink it in 6 days.
Yes.
So here's the cautionary, though, with live, because we use live spirulina. We don't use the dead stuff. We don't use powder. We use live spirulina. Is when it's in whole form, not in extraction like this, but in whole form, we don't recommend it for anybody under the age of 8.
Okay.
Because it does cross the blood-brain barrier, right? And it is a bacteria. Okay. So if they have a compromised immune system, or if you're nursing or breastfeeding and that sort of thing, don't have live spirulina because it is a bacteria.
Ah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
I love that.
Okay.
But each one of our juices...
I'm speechless because I don't even know where to go with all of this.
I'm
There's
like,
like so much to do, and...
It's funny because we have these conversations in store. So someone will come in and we'll talk, and my staff is very knowledgeable as well. They're wonderful. And we'll have these conversations.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on some of the other juice companies out there?
I don't. I think the more the merrier. I really do. The more awareness that we can bring to this way of life, I think the better. And I just feel to each their own. Everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody's going to present what they feel is their best foot forward. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's actually beautiful.
Totally.
So we're all doing our own thing. But one of the things I want to tell you about are bottles. So I actually started with glass bottles, and they were beautiful. And then in fine fashion, I had to research the heck out of it and how it was made and dismantle the whole thing right down to the studs. And what I found out is that glass is actually one of the top 3 polluters on the planet.
Oh, no.
It was so disheartening.
More than plastic?
More than plastic.
No.
Because here's the deal is that, and most of it's coming from the emissions during manufacturing. It goes out into the air. It forms our air quality. It actually gets into the rain. It rains down on us, and it forms our soil. So it's on a global scale that way. The only thing that's better about it, the only thing that's better is the end result and how we use it in the end once we've got the bottle or once we've got...
reuse it.
Because we reuse it. It's so ingrained in us, right?
Yeah.
We use and recycle glass,
Yeah.
but plastic. So anyhow, they're corn-based plastics, and they're fully recyclable. They're non-toxic. They've got a 0 carbon footprint from start to finish, and if you recycle it, it's a 0 carbon footprint from the whole way around.
Corn-based plastic.
It's very, very common now, and as soon as we can find something better, we'll do better. But my heart was broken. I had these beautiful glass bottles, and I'm thinking I can't, with good conscience, use them now.
No,
And
unless
so-
someone is endlessly bringing you their bottles so that you don't always have to make more, but then that's never going to happen.
Yeah. So I wanted to go to something that was going to be kinder to the planet in the meanwhile, until something else comes along.
Yeah.
So in the meanwhile, we've got these, and
Okay,
This is
do you
amazing.
sell your juices online?
we do. We've got a website. Yeah.
And you can order them.
You can order them online. You can have them delivered. I actually originally opened up in Granville Island, and we grew our client base out of there. And started delivering right across the Lower Mainland. Went looking for bigger space and ended up out in Mission, which is closer to home for me.
Yeah.
And so we set up a delivery system across the Lower Mainland so people could order online, and they go out by
will be
delivery.
ordering from you.
Promptly ordering online for my husband and I.
We've got subscription plans. We've got different things as well, and you can pick and choose your juices. And
I went on your website and saw all your different juices, and I love the number system, first of all, because I love numbers because I'm a nerd like that.
Let me see what other ones you have. I want to make a pick.
But I love the cleanses that you did too. Or do you call them cleanses? There's like
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
selections.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Especially, there's a lot of people that have these great New Year's goals, and my husband and I every January do a good 3-week cleanse.
Amazing.
So what do you have in terms of juice cleanses?
We do. We do our juice cleanses a little differently.
Okay.
So on a juice cleanse, you're going to have 8 bottles of juice every day. And we have 3 different levels, or you can customize. Now, the 3 levels, the first one is very anti-inflammatory. So it's bringing the body out of a state of stress and cortisol and bringing it back down into rest, digest, and repair mode and reducing overall inflammation. If you take that step first, you'll have a better experience with a deeper detox.
Oh.
Right? So our level
Don't go
3,
all the way to level 3 on your first one.
No.
Coming off of McDonald's 3 times a day.
No, definitely not.
I hear what you're saying.
But here's the other thing is we don't recommend doing a cleanse right out the starting gate. We recommend adding in 1 juice a day every day for at least a month. Getting your body adjusted, because it's 2 to 3 pounds of produce in every single bottle, and it's certified organic, so it's extremely nutrient dense as well.
Yeah.
It's very different. It hits the body differently.
Yeah.
I
So
did feel different when we had these yesterday. You had sent us a few to try.
Yes.
I was like energized and was like, oh, my system feels like it's waking up.
I'm going to try this one. I bet you it tastes so good.
The immune, is that immunity?
This is immunity.
Okay.
And it's got carrot, apple, lemon, and turmeric.
Yeah, as you say that, I did feel different yesterday after having the juice. Okay, so you start with a month of having a juice a day.
A month, of having a juice a day every day. And then from there, you'll want to step into it lightly, maybe do 3 days. But we have some people, we even have couples who will do 30 and 60 days together because they're really wanting to slingshot their bodies back into a state of health that maybe they had when they were younger, or maybe something has happened and one spouse wants to support the other.
Yeah.
Right? And so they do it together. But our cleanses they're not designed to be deprivation by any measure. Having said that, most people have a hard time taking all 8 bottles down in a day. Right. It's only 1,400 calories maximum. It's 1,200 to 14 on average, roughly 36 grams of bioavailable complete protein every day. And so you're getting in a vast amount of nutrients, and you're getting in everything that you're going to need, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
But if you don't take all 8 bottles in, you might trigger a hunger response in the body, feel hungry, and then go and sabotage yourself and have something. So if you do need to have something while you're doing this, how did you like that?
It's delicious.
Yeah, we had that yesterday. Yeah.
Nice.
So good.
So that's the one that we recommend. Sorry, I just veered off.
I feel
No,
like my
here.
kids would like this. And getting turmeric in them would be virtually impossible unless I cooked it into something and then literally told them, I'll take away the PlayStation 4 if you don't need it.
Nice. Most little guys love that one. And the beauty of that one too is that it has whole turmeric in it. So whole turmeric is different than turmeric capsules or powders.
Oh.
Turmeric is actually a fat-soluble nutrient, and it needs to get taken up into the lymphatic system before it can be utilized by the body. So if you're taking it in a cap or a pill or a powder, it's missing that fat component. And it needs to have a fat coupled with it before it can be absorbed into the lymphatic system.
Wow.
So it's basically pointless to use the turmeric powder.
You'll get some benefit out of it, but if you really want the full potency of it, you'll couple it with something called a medium chain fatty acid, which is either like a coconut oil is an example of that, flaxseed oil. Make it into like a salad dressing, or take it with a teaspoon back, or add a little bit of honey in it if you have
Add
honey
it
or
into your
agave.
korma?
Yes,
with your oil?
absolutely. Try to keep it in its raw state.
Okay.
Without cooking, but it needs to be in whole form as best, because it already comes with a little bit of fat. So that is there. So it's all good to go.
This is amazing. I love your juices. I love that everything has a purpose behind it. It's not like, oh, this just happens to taste good, so have a juice. Like,
No.
there's a purpose behind each one that you've created and each recipe that you have.
My ultimate goal is to educate people to a point where they can almost become their own doctors. I want them to know this is, here's how your body works in simplistic terms. It's very complex, but in simplistic terms, here's how your body works. And here's how to feed it. And then from there, make your own decisions as to what you want to do.
Listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. And we're all different. We all have different experiences. We all live different lives. We all are actively different. We are all mentally different. Based on that, we feed our bodies differently as well. I mean, there's a substandard, right, that we sort of adhere to as a culture. But for the most part, we're all different. So listening to your body is important.
Katie's not in the room right now, but she sent me something last night as well. I think Canada changed their food guide.
They did.
Yeah, I
It's
just
now
saw that.
half fruits and vegetables,
It's
which it never used to
I
be
haven't
before.
really opened it because she sent it to me like midnight last night. It's half
half
fruits and vegetables, a quarter like grainy proteins.
Yeah.
And a quarter like whole grain foods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
And
took meat out of there,
There's
right?
no meat.
I think
Yeah.
meat is in the quarter with protein.
Oh, with protein, so it could be.
So they put it in
protein
like
could
very
be
low.
like
Yeah.
nuts or soy or meat, but it's a quarter, and it encompasses all proteins.
Well, that's awesome. What a good
Beans,
start.
legumes.
Amazing.
What a good start.
It's at least a step in the right direction from the old like grains being the biggest.
Well, and it's what we're teaching our kids, and it starts with
Yeah.
like kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2. They're learning off of that food guide that's provided to them, and down to the point where I've heard other moms speak about like teachers critiquing their lunches and saying, well, it's not following the food guide,
Oh,
but it's totally like recommend, like what
why
am I
do we have to follow that food guide? It's
and
not
it's
good.
not healthy. It's
Yeah.
not healthy what's been provided. Like I think was a quarter dairy before. Well,
Yeah.
she's saying that that's one
Yeah.
of the devil's foods. So
So
Those
funny.
were her
It's just
exact. That was Melissa's exact
I think
words.
that's actually exactly how I described it.
right? No.
Oh man, Melissa, this has been so good. I'm so interested.
Lots of takeaways for me.
And I also really love what you said about everyone becoming their own kind of doctor or advocate at minimum.
Yes. I want them just to be able to know the right questions to ask their practitioners.
I want more information from you. I just want to keep going,
Yeah.
but I want to respect your time at the same time. So we ask all of our guests at the end of a podcast for a piece of advice or a mantra that you're living your life by.
I have one, and it has fueled me ever since I really started this journey. To those who have been given much, much is expected. And it really guides almost every single decision that I make. And so I believe that we're so privileged. Oh, privileged. We're so privileged in so many ways.
Yeah.
Right? Just the fact that we're breathing air right now in a free space, that we've been
So much
given
to be
so
grateful
much.
for.
So much. So much. The fact that I've got 2 legs to stand on. I was actually in a wheelchair for a year after joining a boot camp and having a bad accident and that. And, you know, so the fact that I can walk, I'm just so grateful for that. So just finding, not the silver lining, but just the gratitude and everything. And realizing how much abundance we truly have each and every single moment of every single day, and then giving back however we can and as much as we can. Not just, oh, I gave back enough, you know, yesterday, so I'm
Totally.
good today.
I've hit my limit. That was like my quota.
Yeah, there's never a quota. There's never a quota. There's nothing that could ever be reached. It's just to those who have been given much, much is always
I
expected.
think that's
I
the
love that.
central ingredient of at least happy life is giving.
Yes.
It is a selfish thing to do because it gives you give yourself something
So
by
much.
doing it. But I definitely agree with you. I like everything that you've said, and I am going to listen to this podcast again. And
Oh,
I
yeah, I'll
don't
be.
really listen to a lot of them because I don't want to hear my own voice. Like many of you can understand, but
Thankfully,
so
we
many
did not talk
takeaways
much
and
in
like
this
a
one.
wealth of knowledge. I just really appreciate it.
Oh, same.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah.
Thank
Melissa,
you so
it's
much.
been
Thank you
so
for the
amazing.
juices. Thank you for the
Yeah.
shots.
Where can our listeners find you online?
Online, if you go to Facebook, we're /LiteBOD, on Instagram at LiteBOD Juice, and our website is www.litebod.com.
We will be posting links because
Yes.
everyone will be promptly
We will.
ordering your juices. Are you in any stores yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, and that's
We'll
been
keep
on
an eye
purpose
out.
because we're waiting for our certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on your Instagram until you announce if you're in stores.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Amazing. Okay, well, everyone, as usual, remember to follow us on social at Style for the Priv and Priv Talks podcast. Subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a review and let us know what you think of us. Kindly, please. You can shop our website with the code Priv Talks for 20% off, and then hop into our Facebook group. We're going to have a lot more exclusive things going on in there, like giveaways. We're sharing recipes and tons of tips and all the links from today's podcast. Thank you again, Melissa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.